By now, you probably know that I despise D&D as a system, but I love its settings and lore. Even though I started with D&D 3.0, I always enjoyed reading setting books for settings that didn't make it into that edition, such as Dark Sun, Planescape, Spelljammer, or the Council of Worms. I have always loved Planescape, even though I do not even consider it a separate setting. Just like Spelljammer, it is something of a meta setting that can be used whether you are running a game set in the Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, or your own setting. It's just focused on all the extra planner stuff, and I absolutely love the D&D cosmology, preferably the AD&D one instead of the simplified D&D 3.0 one. So earlier, Hasbro has released their 5e Spelljammer, and it was utter garbage. Now they release 5e Planescape, so let's take a look at it. Maybe there is something useful for GURPS games there. So the 5e package includes 3 books: Sigil and Outlands, Morte's Planner Parade, and Turn of Fortune's Wheel. These are the setting book, bestiary, and an adventure module, respectively. Let's check the setting book, because I'm afraid of looking at what they did to my favorite monsters, and I do not really care about the adventure. I haven't even started reading the book, but I already have to say something about the art. Let's compare it. This is what the 5e Outlands map looks like. And this is what the AD&D Outlands map looks like. Which one would you prefer? To be honest, I can see why the 5e map would be preferable. It feels more legible. But the AD&D one is just so pretty. But wait a second. Sigil and Outlands? The defining feature of Planescape was the entire cosmology, all the elemental, para-elemental, quasi-elemental, energy planes, all the various outer planes, transitive planes, demi-planes, and other obscure planar locations. The title of the book tells you in advance you won't get any of that. The book will focus on Sigil and Outlands. For the rest, you will have to check the tiny blurbs about the planes in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Even the 5e book itself has a What is Planescape section that talks about the multiversal scale of Planescape, that your adventures span different worlds and planes. If I had to give Hasbro the benefit of the doubt, which I do not want to do, I would say that they are planning to release more Planescape products in the future, but that's probably not going to happen. So let's move along. We have two new backgrounds, 7 feats, 3 magic items, and 2 new spells. A staggering number of options. Even if you do not open the AD&D Planescape books and simply check out the manual of the planes for D&D 3.0, you will see just how many new spells are there. The planes are very exotic locations, and navigating them often requires magical help, and 5e just gives you 2 spells: Warp Sense to detect portals, and Gate Seal to seal portals. What happens beyond the portal doesn't matter. What I found surprising is that there are no planar subclasses or planar races. The book just says that you can be whoever you want, but there's actually a plethora of races that could use some expansion here. From the well-known plane-touched, such as Azimars, Tieflings, or Genasi, to something more obscure like Barriors, Bladelings, etc. Also, the book doesn't even talk about the prime populations on the plains. There are many settlements on the plains founded by migrants from the material planes, and such characters and cultures can be fascinating. I just feel that this is a missed opportunity. The general description of life in Sigil seems a bit different tonally from the AD&D books. Let me quote the 5e book. Sigil is the backstage of the multiverse. Celestials and fiends share drinks in genie-owned taverns, agents of evil gods trot through the streets astride nightmares, and hags stable fairy steeds alongside Pegasi and beasts of living stone. As a result of this mingling, fundamentally incompatible parts of the multiverse come into direct contact. They don't always clash, but when they do, authorities maintain order and stifle cosmic peril. Only when these eruptions threaten the city on a grand scale does the Lady of Pain intervene. Now let me quote the AD&D book. Everybody comes to Sigil, the good and the evil, those warring and those at peace, the just and the cruel, everybody. Nobody forgets their loves and hatreds here, but for a few moments they barely manage to set them aside. A deva really might share a drink with a fiend, even if each is watching the other for signs of treachery. Nobody trusts their enemies, but all are forced to trust the laws of the Lady of Pain. I feel that these two descriptions are quite different. The 5e makes Sigil feel like a homogenized place where people are generally friendly, despite the philosophical differences, and the AD&D makes Sigil feel like a place where diametrically opposed cultures barely coexist in constant paranoia and state of Cold War, all because they fear the Lady of Pain, and I prefer the latter. Sigil is, of course, known for its factions. They are a big part of the city and the setting in general. I guess they are described decently enough in the 5e book. I just have the same complaint as for the rest of it. It feels like the author either didn't have enough time or had strict word count limits. Everything in the book, including the factions, is described very shortly. Where there was a page of colorful, evocative description in the AD&D book, we now have a paragraph or two of dry summary, as if written by ChatGPT. Then we get the description of the Sigil wards, all its different districts. They are okay, I guess. I do not have any new complaints. Chapter 3 is devoted to the concordant domains of Outlands, now simply known as the Outlands. To be honest, I think this is the best part of the 5e book. The description of all the gate towns of the Outlands aren't that much shorter than the AD&D counterparts. I think this is where most of the effort went to, so I think I should commend Hasbro. They didn't disappoint me here. However, locations other than the gate towns aren't explored in much detail. And then the book is over. But I'd like to talk about the style. First, art. If you have ever opened any of the AD&D Planescape books, you know that the art style is immediately recognizable. All Planescape art was created by the same artist, Tony Dieterlizzi. In my mind, his art style is firmly associated with Planescape. Whenever I see something created by him, I immediately think Planescape. It's very different from the rest of the D&D books, and it's definitely not generic. In the meantime, the 5e Planescape book is pretty much the same as all other 5e books. We have such stunning and brave art pieces as this, to check all the diversity boxes, or this, something that looks like something from Shadowrun, or this, that feels honestly unfinished. Is this a draft or a work in progress? Second, the writing style. The 5e book is written just like a normal D&D book. Also, I'm pretty sure that some parts were written by an AI. I have no way to prove it, it's just a hunch. Maybe I'm just paranoid. The AD&D book was written mostly from the in-universe perspective. The abundance of the planar slang made them much more difficult to read at first, but at the same time, once you get the hang of it, it really feels like you're not clueless anymore. Get it? Overall, despite the fact that there were some positive parts, such as the Gate Town chapter, I don't think this book is worth buying. There is almost literally nothing in terms of mechanics, so why not get the much better written AD&D book instead, if it will give you much more than this. It's still better than the 5e Spelljammer and Strixhaven books, but that's not a particularly high bar, isn't it? However, even though I had to sail the high seas to get this book, and well, basically every D&D book ever, I wouldn't even pirate this. If you have the AD&D book, this book is absolutely useless and is a strict downgrade. Even if you are playing Planescape in GURPS, I would recommend the AD&D books. Man, I am both salty and disappointed after writing the script for this video. But in any case, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Later!